All right, guys, so in the last video, we got our HUD, our heads-up display to work. It looks pretty good, but I think we can make it look a little bit cooler. So right now, under question, it just shows like 1 of 3 here. But it's a little bit neater, a little bit more fun to have a progress bar so you can kind of see your percentage as you go through. So that's what we're going to do in this video. And just so you can see what it looks like, it's going to look something like this. So we're going to have our question. We're actually going to show 1 of 5 up here, and then have the progress bar just kind of fill up as you go through and answer questions. So it'll kind of fill up there. So that's what we're going to do. And the way this works is we're going to have an outside div, which is this kind of empty rectangle. And then we'll have a div that sits right on top of it and just kind of gets bigger and bigger based on the percentage of question that you're on. So that's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and dive in and do it. So inside of our game HTML, we're going to change out this. Let's see, we're going to change out the H1 here, which used to be the question counter text. We're going to update this p tag up top to say, to give it an ID of progress. I don't know why that import is doing that. ID of progress text. That's going to be the word question, and then we're actually going to show the number combination there. But then after that, we want to have a div with an ID of progress bar. Inside of progress bar, we'll have something with a class of progress bar full. Now this inner div is basically going to be the thing that shows how much progress we've made. So it's going to show how full this bar is. So we've got this in our HTML. What error are we getting here? Look at our console, inner text. Okay, so since we've gotten rid of in here, we're setting the inner text of, where is that? Of our question counter text. This is now going to be our progress text. So we just want to update that. So this one is going to be progress text, and we're going to get it by the progress text ID. And down here, we don't want to reference question counter text. We want to reference progress text. So you can see that works. We're actually going to add on question here too, just so it's kind of obvious what it is. So let's just say question 1 of 3, and this will update the same way that it used to. Question 2 of 3 here, and so on and so on. But now we need to actually style our progress bar. So let's open up the CSS file, and we'll start by working with the progress bar. So we'll grab the progress bar by the ID, and we'll say width is going to be 20 rem, and then height is going to be 4 rem. So it's going to be 200 pixels by 40 pixels high. You don't really see anything yet, so let's do a border of 0.3 rem solid, and then we'll use our blue color, which is 56A5EB. So now we should see this kind of laid out here. That's our top box, right? That's our original box. And now we want to work on the inner bar. So let's get our progress bar full. And actually this could probably be, let's do this by ID as well. So let's change this to an ID and go in our HTML and change that there as well. So progress bar full, and make this an ID instead of a class. So our progress bar full, let's say the height is going to be 3.4 rem. The background color is going to match the background or the border color of the container of the parent of the progress bar itself. All right, so you can see by default the inner div, the progress bar full, went ahead and filled up the progress bar parent div. And so the way we're going to do our percentages to show progress is just to set the width property. It's actually pretty simple. So if I set this to 50%, this fills up 50% of the bar, which is pretty good. So that's what we're going to work with. Let's start. This is going to need to start at 0%. So we'll do that. And then let's go into our JavaScript, and we'll want to get a reference to our progress bar full. All right, so we've got the inner item, and basically every time we increment our question, now we want to update the progress bar. And again, the way we're going to do that is just by setting the width property on that progress bar super simple, pretty straightforward, but actually has a pretty cool effect. So what we're going to do is grab the progress bar full. We will do style and then do width. So style is how you can change basically any of your CSS properties. And what we'll do in here is basically, actually before we do that, let's just log out so I can show you what we're going to do. Question counter divided by max questions. Okay, so let's look at the console here. So to start off, this will print out 0.333. When we go to the next one, it'll be 0.6666. So what we actually want to do is take this whole thing that we just did. Did I close it out instead? Take this whole thing that we just did and multiply it times 100 to get a percent. If I add another parenthesis, all right, so that's going to give us 33.333%. And we can take this whole thing and let's get rid of the log, and we can set the width property to that number. So what this is going to do is going to take question counter, which starts out at 1. It's going to divide by the max number of questions, which is 3 in this case. So 1 divided by 3 is 0.333, and then multiply times 100. So if I save this, we might expect to see this updating here. Let's see. We might expect to see it updating, but it's not quite. So what's going on is this actually needs to be a value in pixels. So we can do our backticks like this, and we can say that we want to evaluate this expression. So that whole thing, so question counter divided by max questions times 100, we can evaluate that whole thing and then add on pixels at the end. And we are missing, looks like I need to move this this parenthesis inside. So I think that's going to do it. So we should see, when we start off, we'll see a third. That looks like a little bit less than a third. All right, looks like there's something we're missing here. So let's grab the progress bar full. It's saying, oh, this is not pixels. We actually want this to be percent. So instead of pixels, this will be percent. And then now that should look like a third. This should look like 2/3, and this should look like 3/3. So this gives a pretty obvious way for the user to see that they are on their last question, on their first question, so on and so on. One thing I don't like here is I think there should be a little bit of padding at the top of our progress bar or margin. So let's do a margin top, and we'll do this 1 rem, 10 pixels, push that down just a little bit, and maybe, does that line up now with our score? Maybe we could do 1.5, push it down a little bit more. Let's go all the way to 2 rems. So now I think these look a little bit better together. Actually, I think 1.5 look best. So we've got our progress bar working, which is pretty sweet. In the next video, we're actually going to go ahead and create our end screen where we're going to have to save the user's score, save it into local storage. So we're going to work with local storage, and we're going to work with arrays and local storage, and then figure out an algorithm of whether or not their high score actually makes the top 5 list. So that's what we're going to do in the next video. Hope you guys are enjoying it, and I'll see you there.